This is Alice Lucy, and you are listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 287, where tonight we are going to be talking about Jersey Shore Shark Attack and Deep Blue Sea. Happy Shark Week, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for voting for Jersey Shore Shark Attack. Finally, justice for Joe. I am very excited to talk about it. We actually have an interview as well tonight. We had the honor of talking to Alice Lucy and Casper Van Dien from Mad Heidi. Me and Steve are going to be talking about it during our What Watch tonight. I do want to mention we actually did interview them prior to the actors' strike. So we probably won't be doing any more interviews for a while until that ends. I will give a little update during the news segment as well, kind of give you, for those of you that don't know about it, we'll know a little more about it. But yeah, stick around for that interview. Awesome interview. I mean, come on, Johnny Rico, Casper Van Dien. We talked a little Starship Troopers as well for you Starship Troopers fans. But Steve, how you doing, buddy? We were just in Salem together. How'd you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, Salem was such a great time. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go for very long. I was only there for like 2 days, basically. And I got sick for the second half of the second day. There's something about Salem, man. I just every time I go there, I get sick. So who knows what's going on over there. But I did have a great time. We did a lot of cool stuff. Went, downtown, checked out a few restaurants. We went on a tiki cruise, which was absolutely fantastic. Could not recommend that enough. My wife was just raving about the drinks on that tiki cruise. She's really cool people who run that what's it called, Joe? What's the tiki?
It's just simply called Tiki Hut Boats, put on by Scott and Karen. They're the owners, husband and wife. Very small business, just awesome people.
Yeah. And then I got to hang out with Joe and Sam, got to oogle his horror display in his apartment, and it was a great time visiting both. And on the way back home, it's about a 7.5, 8 hour drive. Joe tipped me off that I was going to pass basically right through the Beetlejuice 2 filming location in East Corneth, Vermont, I believe it is. And I did. And I went to see the set. It's basically one street that this whole thing is on. It's a very, very small town that's got just maybe 20 buildings. And it was fucking awesome. I got to see the covered bridge, which they covered for the movie. It's actually not covered in real life. I got to see the house from a distance because you're not allowed to actually go up to the house, but there are some spots in the town that you could get a really cool shot of it. It's actually draped in black fabric. Apparently that's a design choice in the movie. I guess we'll find out when that comes out. And I got to see all the facades for the town itself. There was a church, there was a school for girls, there was the old Maitland hardware store, which is now like a restaurant or something. And it was fucking awesome. It's all decorated for Halloween. A lot of the decorations I think aren't there because they shut down production, but you could still see some of the light posts and stuff like that and the stuff inside the store. So fantastic location. If you get a chance to go see it while it's still up, highly recommend it. It was awesome. Awesome weekend all around. And can't wait to go back to Salem in October. We'll see.
Yes, definitely. Things are progressing, ladies and gentlemen. Just save the dates. October 20th through the 22nd. You aren't going to want to miss it, I don't think. It should be an awesome time. There's going to be a lot more involved this time around. It's going to be a full weekend of events. As soon as we can officially announce something, we will. But make sure, stay tuned. All our social media and stuff, we will announce it as soon as possible. Hopefully within the next month or so, we can do it. But yeah, things are definitely progressing on that. That Beetlejuice 2 filming location, though, that is awesome. I have seen theories around the black draping over the house. Skip ahead, maybe a minute if you don't want to hear a spoiler or, fan theory spoilers. But the theory is that the house is basically in mourning. Lydia, not Lydia, the mother there. What's her name in the movie? I can't remember it.
I don't remember.
Do you remember? All right, whatever.
Yeah.
The mom obviously being an artist and so extra. Basically, the theory is that Jeffrey Jones, who played the father, basically they killed him off. And basically that is why Lydia and her daughter are returning to town and we'll probably unleash Beetlejuice again. But that is sort of the theory of why this black draping is currently over the house, which I think makes a lot of sense, because otherwise I don't think it makes sense why there'd be black draping over it. So yeah, that's sort of that theory. But I would love to get up there. That sounds super cool. Just seeing the covered bridge alone, I think, and the house from a distance would be awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. But I have to mention that if they do end up tearing the set down at some point, it probably won't look anything like Beetlejuice, because I mean, like I said, the covered bridge, it looks pretty good. I don't know if they're actually going to.
It's coming down. No,
okay,
it's definitely coming down.
So you wouldn't see that. The house is completely just a facade. I saw the back of it. It's wide open, and the buildings are all have a like facade front to them. So there's really nothing that would be the same as the movie, except maybe the church and the school for girls, which is something else. So yeah, definitely check it out if you have a chance before they tear it all down, because it's cool. It's like walking into like a fictional town. It's just, there's something about it it was awesome. Like it was a great time, and just to think that I was standing where Beetlejuice happened was just an awesome experience.
Very, very cool. And I just want to shout out Tiki Hot Boats one more time. TikiHotBoats.com if you would like to, if you're ever in the Salem area. They book up super, super fast. They don't have any openings for the rest of the summer, but they do have some openings for October. So if you are planning on coming in October, maybe even that weekend of October for our event, maybe you can see if you can get in for that. But they start booking in, I believe, early January. So if you are wanting to get it for the summer months, the weekends obviously book up the fastest. But yeah, highly recommend that. It only holds 6 people, so book fast if you can for that. But shout out once again to them. We posted a picture with them on our social media too, so if you want to go and see what kind of the boat looks like and all that, go and check it out. But yeah, ready to do some horror news, Steve?
Yeah, so how about we spill a little tea?
Oh, you want the tea? I'm sorry. We don't serve tea. Nope. Instead, you get a cup of Joe. And now here's Joe with the news.
All right, folks, here it is. Thank you, Chuck, once again. And here it is, your cup of Joe for this week. Let's start off with, of course, the biggest news that has basically shook the entire movie industry, and that is the SAG-AFTRA strike. The actors, of course, the writers went on strike about a month or two ago, and now the actors have also gone on strike. I don't know a ton about why they're striking. I know one of the biggest sticking points, it has to do with AI, which is, super interesting. Basically, what the studios want to do is they want to take, background extras, actors, they want to be able to use AI and not pay them after the a one-time use, which is pretty fucked up. And I can see why they are striking for that reason, because you're basically taking away money from all the background extras and whatnot. So I mean, I personally stand in solidarity.
There's another big reason that they're striking, and that's residuals. So the way it's been working basically forever is, especially people in television, you do your show, you get paid for it, and then when it airs on TV, you get a certain, like, small, but you get a percentage of all of the money that goes through those deals. But now with streaming, there are no residuals, or very few residual checks, so you're actually not getting paid all that much because it's on a network. So the network kind of makes the entire all the money. They're not sending it to Brazil to be on TV 24 hours a day, like MASH and Seinfeld and stuff like Friends, So that's another big part of it. Yeah, absolutely, highly support them and the writers, who are also on strike. So hopefully they can resolve that quick, because it's bullshit and they need more money.
Yeah. So what does this, I guess, all mean for us? Well, first of all, for the listeners, it's going to mean no interviews until this strike comes through. We work with a lot of promotional companies, so don't expect any sort of interviews until the strike ends. A lot of productions are currently shut down. Obviously, they shut down the production of Beetlejuice 2, Chucky. Pretty much everything is completely shut down right now. So don't expect some of your favorite horror movies or TV shows to come out on schedule. Also, conventions might be affected. San Diego Comic-Con being the biggest one, because they bring in, they work with studios. As far as other conventions, horror conventions and whatnot, the actors, there was a lot of confusion with that. But based on what I've read, basically actors are still going to be allowed to attend horror conventions and whatnot. They'll be able to sign What it might affect is panels. You might not see panels during this strike. From what I've heard, they are not allowed to talk about any prior work they had. So obviously there's a Lost Boys reunion coming up in August that I'm going to be attending. Unfortunately, I do not think you will see a panel for that. But from what I've heard, they will be able to sign. People were concerned that maybe they wouldn't be able to sign stuff from their prior works. So if you had, say, a Lost Boys poster or something like that, they will be able to sign that because it has their likeness on it, but they will not be able to talk about the work. So there was talk about, so celebrities aren't going to be able to attend cons at all. That is not true. They will be able to still show up, sign, but no panels or anything like that. So that is basically how it is kind of affecting everything right now. Hopefully they can resolve it sooner rather than later, but this might go on for a while. It might be 5-6 months, maybe more. So, but hopefully the sooner the better for all of us. So good luck with that. Keep you guys up to date on that. And Todd has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Todd has joined the chat. He's made it.
How are you?
Good to see you, Todd. How you been?
You too. Been all right. Hey, my thoughts on it. If you do the job, you get the money. Pay the people. Come on.
Absolutely. All right. Next bit of news here is the Emmy Awards have been announced. And congratulations to some of our horror-related television shows and movies. The biggest one, of course, The Last of Us. So hot last year, receiving over 20 Emmy nominations, including Outstanding Drama Series, as well as Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey also getting nods for their work on that. Also, Yellow Jackets also getting an Outstanding Drama Series nod, as well as Wednesday, the television show, getting Outstanding Comedy Series. Perhaps one of the biggest surprises to come out of this is Prey. Prey actually picked up an Emmy nomination for Outstanding TV Movie. So that is awesome for them. Congratulations to that. Also of note is the Jeffrey Dahmer story starring Evan Peters also picked up a Emmy nomination. My Boston accent came out there.
Just talk like that, man. Let everything happen like that. Let's have a true accent show from Joe.
Yeah. So congratulations to Evan Peters for that nod. He did an amazing portrayal of Jeffrey Dahmer on that show. So yeah, hopefully Prey. Fingers crossed. I don't see it winning, but that's awesome that it was able to even pick up a nomination. I was surprised to see that. So congratulations to them. All right. 28 years later, folks. Is it going to happen? Well, maybe it will, because recently during an interview, Danny Boyle and is it Cillian Murphy? Is it Cillian Murphy?
I think it's Cillian.
All right, Cillian Murphy.
Mhm.
Cillian Murphy during his Barbenheimer, maybe, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening this weekend, and the apocalypse, Barbie and Oppenheimer coming out together. I'm going to see Oppenheimer on Saturday. I cannot wait for it. But yeah, Cillian Murphy during his press junket for Oppenheimer recently has come out and said that he has been in talks with Danny Boyle regarding 28 years later. Danny Boyle also, after Cillian Murphy's words, he came out and said, so we're talking about it quite seriously, quite diligently. He said, if he doesn't want to direct regarding the original director itself, I'll be up for it if we can execute. Similarly, a good idea. He said, yeah, I mean, that's what he said. So he said they're talking, it's in serious talks. Yeah, are you guys, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, the movie came out, we're almost at 28 years later at this point. So are you ready for it? Is it too late?
The first one. No, I love parts 1 and 2, but they've been talking about this just like Bruce and them were talking about Evil Dead forever. They've been talking about it since 28 Weeks Later came out, and at that point I think it was termed 28 months later. So yes, I would be thrilled to see it, but until we're in production, I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the time, if they're ever going to do it, because with Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy is at kind of his peak of his career. So I think Danny Boyle probably recognizes that, and he's not getting any younger either, Danny Boyle. So it's like, should I get off the pot at this point? And hopefully we see it. It'd be cool to see him kind of go back to horror for one last time.
Wonder where you go with it though, because at the end of part 2, England was lost again because Americans got destroyed or whatever by a new outbreak. So I wonder if all Europe is covered or something, or it's worldwide. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go with it.
No, yeah. Definitely. Maybe go the way of Bird Box Barcelona. You can move to a different country or something like that and see what's going on over there. We'll see. Anyone watch it yet? Not hearing great
Yeah, I
things
didn't even
about
know it
it.
was out.
Yeah, it came out I think on Friday on Netflix. So. All right, next bit of news here, and I know this is one Steve very excited about. Halloween Horror Nights has announced their latest house, and it is going to be Stranger Things based on the newest season. They are titling it Vecna's Curse. So, yeah, Steve.
I'm
thoughts?
super excited. They had apparently a fallout with Netflix over the last few years, so I'm happy that they seem to have resolved that. Now I wonder, is the strike going to affect HHN? Because they're not supposed to promote anything that's they call it struck, which is something that a production that is currently kind of active or that is part of that union. So I don't know what's going to happen, but if it does go, it's honestly shaping up to be the best Halloween Horror Nights ever, with Chucky, The Last of Us, and Stranger Things season 4 currently announced, and there's rumors that the next 2 will be The Exorcist and Evil Dead. So holy shit, that's crazy, especially after last year, which was kind of lackluster. I'm pretty psyched. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's gonna look cool. I think Stranger Things season 4 is gonna look really fucking cool at HHN. I could just picture it already, just being in Vecna's lair and, you know, seeing the Master of Puppets scene play out, and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Absolutely. Well, if you can't make it to Halloween Horror Nights, perhaps you live over by the Mall of America, because the Mall of America announced that they are opening a massive 45,000 square foot haunted attraction for this Halloween season. It is going to be running September 15th through October 31st. They are going to be doing specialty bars, themed cocktails, basically a mini sort of Halloween Horror Nights. Interestingly enough, the title that they are calling this is Onion Head's Revenge. So what is Onion Head's Revenge, might you ask? Well, they went on to describe the local legend of Onion Head. So Onion Head is the cruel nickname forced upon a young man from Louisiana who was brutally murdered by a vigilant mob after being wrongly accused for the murder of a young woman. Consumed by rage, the assailant hacked his body into 13 pieces and scattered them in a nearby cemetery. Well, Onion Head has risen from the grave and is now out for revenge. Sounds kind of fun.
Rightfully so. Get after it, Onion Head.
Right. So if you are the Mall of America, which I believe is Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're in that area, go and check it out. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun. All right, just one more bit of news. I wanted to end on this because it's pretty big. Return of the Living Dead reboot, ladies and gentlemen, is currently in the works. So, you know, obviously one of the greatest sort of horror comedy zombie franchises of all time. Well, is this good? Is it bad? I don't know yet, you know, but it's coming. So the company that's putting it out is going to be, well, here we go. First of all, Todd, I know
it better
you've
not be
seen
David
it.
Gordon Green. It better not.
No, it is not.
Right,
so the company that is going to be putting it out is called Living Dead. All right, Living. All right, I'm already not excited about this based on what I'm reading. But the company is Living Dead Media is currently behind the planned upcoming reboot. Who will be directing, you say? Steve Walsh. Does the name sound familiar, Todd?
No, but what did he direct that I hated?
How about the movie Kill Her Goats?
Oh, fuck no.
So Steve Walsh.
It's on the lowest. Oh no, bottom 5 of the list easily this year. Jeez.
So Steve Walsh, credited with Kill Her Goats and also the movie Muck, has been attached to direct the film. Living Dead Media went on to say, our reboot of Return of the Living Dead will expand the existing world created by the original 5 films while staying true to the R-rated sci-fi, horror, dark comedy roots adored by fans of the cult classic around the world for the last 35 years. The company also noted, we are excited to resurrect this storied franchise for current fans and new generations of zombie fans. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys want to see out of a Return of the Living Dead remake?
Living Dead Media sounds like something I would have named my quote-unquote production company when I was 11. So we'll just put that. No, it's, you know, no offense to the director, but, you know, the Kill Her Goats was not as advertised and just wasn't a good film. So I would like to see more of, his own properties to get some practice in before he takes on something as big as Return of the Living Dead. As far as what I would want to see, honestly, 4 and 5 are just so fucking awful. I think the story's ran its course. You know what I mean? So I just rather them not make a film, honestly.
Yeah, I just want to see a fun zombie film. I mean, that's, use the name, I guess, but I want to see something fun. That's basically all I want. A lot of the zombie films lately have been kind of more on the serious side, so I hope that's the thing that they take from it, but I don't have high hopes for this at all.
Yeah, me either, based on sort of the company putting out. I wish it was sort of a bigger studio, somebody, but I feel like, yeah, this is going to be a direct to DVD sort of thing that, we deserve. It would be, I think this franchise definitely is ripe for the taking and could really get a theatrical release with the right studio behind it. But we'll see how this goes. Well, actually, one last thing I want to mention, because I don't think anyone has seen it yet. The Mean One, starring David Howard Thornton as the Grinch, of course, basically got like a one-day release in theaters and then just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. It's actually, yeah, I think most people did, and most people haven't seen it. Well, it is going to be getting a release on VOD October 3rd of this year, right in time for Halloween/Christmas season. So perhaps something we can cover around Christmas time for the podcast. We shall see. But yeah, for those of you who have been wanting to check out David Howard Thornton, who of course most famously plays Art the Clown, his portrayal of the Grinch, you can check it out October 3rd. And that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, for horror news this week.
All right. Yeah, awesome. So before we get on to our next segment, how about a little coffee break with our friends at Deadly Ground Coffee?
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Ground's coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Ground's coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
What watched?
Yes.
All right. What you guys got?
All right, we'll start off with Mad Heidi. Don't forget, stick around for our interview with Mad Heidi herself, Alice Lucy, and also the main villain of the movie, Casper Van Dien, or Dean. I always say Dean. I don't know why, but I think I even said that when I introduced him in the interview, so stick around for that.
Amateur hour.
No, but super awesome. Great. Both just great people. Casper, I introduced him with a little Starship Troopers intro, and he already was like, yeah, you're my people. He's like, when people talk Starship Troopers, I know you're my type of people. So yeah, great interview with the both of them. Really interesting stuff with Casper regarding a potential, a failed Robert Rodriguez potential Starship Troopers thing. So yeah, really interesting stuff. He really went into detail with that. So stick around for that. But yeah, let's get into it. Mad Heidi. Mad Heidi came out this year, 2023 release. You can check it out. I believe as far as the day of this release, it is available on VOD. So you can go and check it out. God, how do you even explain this movie? Essentially, we are in a sort of alternate sort of universe in Switzerland where sort of think Nazi Germany, but instead of Nazis, we have these sort of a dictatorship where they essentially, like, cheese is like one of the biggest like sort of exports that's coming out of Switzerland, and they are essentially like using propaganda and sort of like mind control like in their cheeses to control the people of Switzerland. Well, Heidi ends up essentially what happens is Heidi's boyfriend and grandfather ends up sort of getting executed by these, I'll just say like Swiss Nazis, I guess. And basically the rest of the movie is sort of her revenge tale. Casper Van Dien plays the sort of quote unquote, I guess, Hitler character in this, sort of the main dictator of this cheese. And he has created a super cheese that essentially turns people into almost superhuman cheese zombies. And, and that's the movie. And it's Mad Heidi going after our main dictator, trying to take down this cheese empire. So, yeah, I mean, the premise, absolutely ridiculous. But if you were on board with that, which you're going to know right away based on how I explain this movie if you're going to be on board or not. I was expecting it to be absolutely terrible, and lo and behold, I was very pleasantly surprised. This movie is a super fun time, extremely cheesy, pun intended, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if you're into like grindhouse style movies, I mean, this is going to be like right up your alley. Think sort of like the fake trailers in like those grindhouse movies that, you know, Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did. Think about one of those trailers made into kind of like a full-length movie, and that's pretty much what you're getting here. It has that sort of style. It's shot in that style. Mad Heidi is probably maybe one of my favorite characters so far I've seen this year. She's an absolute badass, and there's potential for a sequel based on how the movie ends. So yeah, I had a good time with it. It's, you know, it's not going to break my top 10 or anything like that, but I had a ton of fun watching it. This is the perfect movie to watch with just a group of friends and sort of just have a good time with. So I give it a 3 out of 5. I was close to giving it a 3.5 out of 5, but you know, I think it depends on the mood of the day. But I'm right. I'm teetering between 3 and 3.5 on it.
Yeah, okay, so this movie is a goddamn delight. If you are into this type of film like I am, I had such a great fucking time with this. It's like you said, you know, no pun intended, really cheesy. The performances are all over the place, but that works really well for this movie. Casper Van Dien, for example, he has kind of a Swiss accent, but he loses it like in and out throughout the movie. And that sounds bad, but because of the way that the character's portrayed, it actually works for the film. It has a ton of memorable moments, like stuff that could all be like the best moment of the year, and it is bloody and gory as fuck. It's like surprising how like crazy the blood and guts are in this movie. There are some amazing kills. It's just such a fucking great film. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It's not like a, you know, a top tier like serious film like you'll probably get in a lot of our top 5s, but for me personally, this is one of my favorites of the year, and I could see it make my top 10 by the end of the year. So highly recommend that people check it out. I actually give it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's a fun time, and you could tell they had a blast making it, which just makes the whole experience even better.
I am super excited to check that one out. So looking forward to it. Okay, I have one this week as well, and it's 1999 Shark Attack, also starring Casper Van Dien. I love Casper Van Dien. Ever since I saw him in Starship Troopers, he's a talent, and he's in a lot of these lower budget films, but all the cheesiness aside, he doesn't let that affect his performance. Like sometimes, you know, like you guys just described, the character can be off a little bit, but he always gives it all, and I respect that. So Shark Attack, though, is about this guy named Steven, played by Casper Van Dien, who gets an email from a colleague in South Africa talking about numerous shark attacks, and he wants Casper Van Dien's help. When he arrives in South Africa, he learns that the gentleman that had emailed him was killed by a shark under mysterious circumstances. So now we're following Casper Van Dien as he has to deal with angry locals because they worship the sharks. And ever since the quote unquote scientists from America got there, sharks have been killing people, driving away fishing business, driving away tourism, things like that. Ernie Hudson plays a shady entrepreneur businessman with the fucking worst African accent I've ever heard. It's so annoying. It's annoying because on some words he does it really strong, and other words he doesn't do it at all. So it's just like so fucking lame. I hate his performance in this. And the movie, although it's called Shark Attack, doesn't really have that many shark attacks. It's mostly like he's trying to talk to the scientists that may be doing some shady shit, quote, or newsflash, he is. Of course, he has a cure for cancer, just like Deep Blue Sea of the same year does, based on sharks. And then we're following him as he's trying to just figure out what's going on and try to expose the evil doctor for who he is. But plot twist, that guy that Ernie Hudson, he might be the bad guy, and it's pretty obvious because they telegraph it from a mile away. But you're going to see a bunch of scenes where Casper jumps into the water fully clothed. I'm talking like layers of clothing, nice slacks, dress shoes, a fucking shirt, an overshirt, his sunglasses, everything. He jumps into the water with the fucking homemade spear, fights sharks numerous times. It's pretty fun. And he gives it his all, man. Like, is it a perfect film? No, but it's super fun. It has practical sharks, which I always respect. I hate when they do terrible CGI sharks. And this one mixes practical sharks that you can tell are like animatronic, or not even animatronics, just like foam sharks with their mouths open or something for the scene, as well as stock footage that looks really nice because it looks like they had people in real shark cages filming the scenes for them. So sometimes you can see stock footage and tell like, oh, they pulled that from another documentary, put in this film. It looks like they actually filmed the documentary footage for this film and stuck it in so it color matches and all that stuff. So Shark Attack, a solid 2.5 out of 5, located on Tubi.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely adding that to my list because it is Shark Week, and I also have two shark movies I watched for What Watch this week, as I do every year because I absolutely love Shark Week and I love stupid shark movies. So I don't know if we mentioned it, but the two movies that we got tonight are based off votes that we had on social media. And my pick was not, for the cheesy one, was not Jersey Shore Shark Attack. That was Joe. But mine actually lost by one vote. And that was 2022's Doll Shark. And thank God, because this movie is bad. Basically, it's quick story. A guy hunts a shark, kills it, takes like one of the teeth or something, inserts it into a shark like toy, sends it to his son, and the shark comes alive, once it gets to the house and starts attacking people in the house. That's basically the plot of it, is the toy shark, attacking the family and friends of the family who visit the house. This is a Polonia joint. So if anyone knows bad shark movies, you would probably recognize that name because he is the director and star and producer and editor and everything of a lot of them. A lot of those ridiculous shark movies you see on Tubi are from one of these brothers. And it just feels so lazy. Like it's like something they made over a weekend just to put it on Tubi, make an amazing poster for it, and then they'll rack up money, for years to come based off that poster alone and putting absolutely no effort into the film. It was dull. The CGI blood was just dumb as shit, and I just didn't like it whatsoever. Half star for me on Letterboxd. It's definitely not worth your time.
The poster's pretty cool though.
That's how they get you, man.
That's a pretty cool poster.
That's their MO. Great poster.
Yeah.
Cool like gimmick to it. Absolute shit film. So
you are one of 29 reviews for Letterboxd for that movie.
Yeah, I know. It's not surprised. However, my other one, 2010's Sharktopus, which is a movie that one of our listeners actually was recommending over on Facebook, kept putting it into the vote, even though it wasn't one of the options. So I got curious and I checked it out. Again, the story, very basic. Basically, they built a Sharktopus, which is a mix of like a shark's head with an octopus's like tentacles, and it got loose. So you have people like Eric Roberts trying to chase it down and bring it back. I went in expecting the absolute worst, as these movies should be, but I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't terrible. In fact, I had a lot of fun watching it, because here's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for these types of movies. I'm looking for lots of creative, unique kills and a lot of the shark. And this movie gives you just that. Yes, the story is stupid. Yes, the acting is really, really bad. But you get a ton of Sharktopus killing people in all sorts of unique ways. Now, is the CGI great? No. But it's passable enough that it was entertaining. I had fun with this one. I think this is one that might be a recommendation in future years when we do Shark Week, because it's one of those so bad it's good movies. I gave it 3 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. This is the type of bad shark film that I'm into. Just a lot of sharks, a lot of killings, and a goofy plot. So Sharktopus, check it out. Both the movie that I mentioned were on Tubi.
Very nice. All right, sweet. Trivia time. All right, trivia scores are as follows. Myself, quarter 3 in the lead with 6. Steve right behind me with 5. Joe right behind him with 2. Any man's game, as you can see, we keep coming down the wire with these damn things, so let's do it. I am going to lead off today. Joe, you are actually on mute. I'm not lying. All right.
Yes.
All right, question number 1. What is the name of the lab in Deep Blue Sea?
Aquatica.
Correct.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
No
Thank
one
you.
said- no one say anything, but go for it.
All right, first one tonight. I am going to give you details, all shark themed, trivia this week. So
Mm.
here you go.
Mm.
I'm going to give you details about the movie.
Okay.
You try to guess the movie.
Okay.
So this movie came out in 1983. The cast. Well, first, director, Joe Alves. Writers, Peter Benchley, Richard Matheson, and others.
The Last Shark.
Incorrect. The cast. Bess Armstrong as Catherine Morgan. Simon McCorkindale as Philip Fitzroyce.
It's a name, McCorkindale.
Louis Gossett Jr. as Calvin Bouchard. And John Putch as Sean Brody.
Oh,
This
Is
movie
it-
is also rated PG. I am leaving out our main actor, as it is would be a
I
dead
think
giveaway.
Steve's got
But
it.
I'll give you both guesses, one more guess, and then I will
Well,
give
Steve
you the
gets a
main
guess, and
actor
then-
giveaway. Sure.
I'm gonna go Jaws 2.
Incorrect.
What was the Brody's first name? They gave.
Sean Brody.
I'm gonna go with I have nothing to lose right now, right? It resets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go with a part 4.
Incorrect.
I'll
And
go
I'll
part
give you
3.
correct. Jaws
There
3.
you I knew it was one of
You
them.
got
but-
it. You got it.
And,
I got it.
and Dennis Quaid as Mike Brody.
Wait.
Right. All right. So also all shark movies this week. These are kind of gimmies this week. I'm being very generous with mine. These are all pretty easy, but here we go. So first one, as always, guess the movie based off the IMDb parental guide,
All right.
starting with some sex and nudity.
Ooh.
A teen boy says she's got tits like a sparrow, referring to a teen girl.
What
Nice.
does that even mean?
I don't mean I've never did sparrows have big tits? I've never
No. Violence and gore. This is probably the giveaway to me.
Yeah. It's like a sparrow.
A killer whale is found with a large chunk bitten out of its face.
The Jaws?
Wrong.
Fuck me.
Wait,
dude.
was it a large whale?
Said a killer whale.
A killer whale. The Shallows?
Wrong. Oh, so you
Ooh, we're
could have
back,
just
baby,
waited. Profanity. About 10 shits, 6 goddams, 4 sons of bitches, 8 asses, 7 dams, 7 hells, and lots of bullshit.
Lots of bullshit. I like it.
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. 3 characters share a bottle of whiskey, one of them having previously become drunk. And finally, frightening and intense scenes. This is a pretty intense film. Every death is suspenseful and shocking. As with the first film, it is infamous for making people scared of sharks and going into the water. The music is ominous and intense.
Jaws 2.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a giveaway because it said after the first one. So you're close to that, Todd. You just got the wrong Jaws.
Yeah. You didn't. I said Jaws.
You said Jaws. Yeah,
I
right.
said, dude, he's always trying to screw me over. Okay. Sorry, let me start. How big do they say the shark was in Deep Blue Sea?
50 feet.
Incorrect.
80.
Incorrect. The answer is it's a 45-foot shark.
Oh, damn it.
All
so
right.
close.
All right. Very close. All right. Next trivia I got. Name the director who directed a shark movie, but I'm not going to tell you his shark movie. I'm going to tell you his other horror works.
Okay.
And you guess the director.
I like it.
Okay. The first one we have Devil's Pass from 2013. Next, Exorcist The Beginning from 2004.
Mm.
Next, we have Prison from 1987.
Prison. Okay.
This one might be the giveaway. From 1988, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The
Rennie
Dream
Harlan?
Master.
Rennie Steve Rennie.
Correct.
I had it in my like chamber, but
Realize.
I didn't want to.
I think we both had Steven Spielberg like right at the tip. Like I'm gonna say. it.
Actually, yeah.
Rennie Harlan, who directed tonight's movie, Deep Blue Sea.
Exactly.
Nice.
All right. So second one, Guess the movie based off the Letterboxd reviews. Take a shot every time a person threatens to rip off someone else's balls. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And
It's Cruel
can't...
Jaws.
Correct.
Man.
Yeah. The giveaways were I liked when the girl in the wheelchair used her legs. The showgirls of shark movies. And my favorite one, the soundtrack was wild. I can't explain it. You have to experience it. Star Wars fans will not be pleased.
No Hulk Hogan budget Hulk Hogan.
It was too easy. It was like that was too much of a giveaway.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right. I have a back of the Blu-ray.
Oh, yes.
After a series of mysterious deaths, an offbeat group of friends get caught up in a lively mix of thrills and chills. With hot stars, blank, 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 and blank. Because they're all hot. If that's too.
Can you repeat just without the blanks?
Without the blanks? Okay.
Yeah.
After a series of mysterious deaths, an offbeat group of friends get caught up in a lively mix of thrills and chills. With hot stars, and then.
Is it the Jersey Shore Shark Attack?
Incorrect. I do not have that Blu-ray, Steve.
I don't know.
Wait,
did you say that Blu-ray?
Did you say this was a shark movie or not? Or
No,
it's
it's
just
some
not
movie.
anything.
No.
Urban legend?
Incorrect. Let me read some more. A clever thriller, sensational, terrific entertainment. The smash hit that transformed the horror genre into a phenomenon.
Oh.
And helped launch the careers of some of today's brightest stars.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Incorrect.
It's a good guess.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Scream.
Damn it.
To be fair, that's a terrible description of the movie.
Yeah, that's very.
It is.
But hey, it's on the Blu-ray.
All right. Last one tonight. 3 Letterboxd reviews. Guess the movie. Every once in a while, a horror film comes along that presents a scenario so frighteningly real and entirely plausible. A film that sidesteps your defenses and bypasses the notion that it's only a movie.
You're all sharks tonight too?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2. Not too bad once you get used to the laptop camera they use to record this. And number 3. Simple plot. A tiny $500,000 budget. No big name stars. No bells and whistles. And yet it manages to frighten those who can imagine themselves in that terrifying situation.
47 meters below?
Incorrect.
Ooh, I think I have a follow-up.
I'm gonna go. I don't know. Shark Night 3D.
Incorrect.
Is it Open Water?
It is
Oh,
Open
nice.
Water from
On the board,
2003. I really like that movie. I haven't
Super
seen it
good
in a
movie.
while, but yeah, it's a good one.
It's very effective.
Hmm There's sequels too, which never
I've seen 2, which is pretty good too. They forget to put the boat ladder down, and they're within
Oh,
reach like the
shit.
whole movie.
Oh, it's
Pretty
brutal. Yeah, it's even more frightening that it's a based on a true story.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
All right. This is such an easy question that I'm gonna have to listen very carefully to see who gets it first, because you guys are gonna have to be fucking quick on this one.
Let's go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Technically, in the US, this should be known as 154.2 feet down.
47 meters below. Or
No.
47 meters down.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve.
I know how to get you.
What is the metric conversion for it?
154.2 feet.
They should have said that in just the US market.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been so funny.
All right. Well, Joe with the leader today. He's got 3. Steve and I tied a 2 apiece. I'm still in the lead by 1 with 8. Steve 7. Joe, he's at a 5 for quarter number 3 of trivia. All right. Which one do we want to go first?
Let's
go
Bad
Jersey
one or
Shore.
good one?
Yeah.
Jersey one? All right, Jersey Shore Shark Attack, directed by John Shepard, 2012. Many years ago, hundreds of locals and tourists were massacred by giant man-eating sharks in the infamous 1916 Jersey Shore attacks. But that's just a legend. Or is it? It's a holiday weekend on the Jersey Shore, and unbeknownst to anyone, underwater drills have attracted dozens of albino bull sharks to the pier. When a man goes missing, TC, known as a complication, Nookie and friends fear the worst and plead with the police chief to close down the beach. It isn't until a famous singer is eaten alive during the performance on the pier that the shark hunt begins. Now, the preppies must work together with the Guidos in order to save the Jersey Shore and its inhabitants from another vicious slaughter. Joe, you've been talking about this one for fucking years. You lead it off.
Sure. Yeah, so I basically picked this one because I was a huge like Jersey Shore fan. Like when it first came out, I was like all about it. I was like, I mean, I think most people were. Although a lot of people were. You know, the obsession with it was really something that was kind of a lightning in the bottle situation at the time. And it's still going. I mean, to this day, the Jersey Shore phenomenon has not died down. I was actually looking on their new show, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, which I did watch the first couple seasons. It actually has more seasons now than the original run of Jersey Shore, which is pretty amazing. So it's still going. I actually met Mike the Situation once. He was doing a bottle signing of his protein infused vodka at the time. So I do have an autographed Mike the Situation vodka bottle in storage somewhere. But yeah, so I picked this because I was a fan, and I had seen it like a long time ago when it first came out, but I hadn't seen it since. So I was wanting to give it a revisit, and it just seemed like a good time. And it's a fun time actually. Like I was expecting it to be horrible. Most sci-fi original movies are, but it does a really good job of parodying the Jersey Shore characters and whatnot. The sharks look awful. That is the biggest complaint about this movie. I mean, it's just bottom barrel CGI used on the sharks. But surprisingly, for a sci-fi original, the movie is very gory. There's some great kills. There's some great blood in there. Some really interesting cameos. We have Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos, and also Paul Sorvino from Goodfellas fame. I know him best from, but he's done a ton of other mob movies. So some really random, fun cameos in here as well. My biggest complaint, I guess, is the lack of real Jersey Shore members. We only get Vinny in this very short sort of news reporter sort of cameo here and there. But I wish we got the whole cast in there. I think it would have made it even more fun, even better.
All those people aren't in the Jersey Shore show?
No.
Oh.
They're all parodies of the characters on the show, basically. You have a Snooki character, you have our basically main guy who is our love story is basically Sam and Ronnie, their parody sort of situation.
But their nickname is The Situation?
Yeah, Situation and Snooki, right?
So I thought those guys were the actual reality TV guys in a movie.
No, just Vinny. Just Vinny, who is
the
reporter guy. Yes, he's the actually only Jersey Shore cast member to make an appearance. So overall, it's actually a pretty fun time if you just kind of turn off your brain. It's certainly not good, but it's way better than what we reviewed last year, Sharks of the Corn, which I wanted to fucking pluck my eyeballs out watching. This was actually a decent watch.
Yeah, so I also watched all of the seasons of Jersey Shore, and I watched the first few seasons of Family Vacation. My wife still watches it, so I like peek at it once in a while I'm doing other stuff. And I agree. It's a bad movie, obviously, but it's a good parody of the Jersey Shore and all the stuff that goes on it. I mean, it's cool that they actually filmed most of it on the Jersey Shore, at the kind of boardwalk that they have there. So that kind of adds to the ambiance as well. There's a good spoof of the music that they would air on Jersey Shore. It was cool that they had at least one member of the actual Jersey Shore cast, but it was so obvious that he filmed his shit kind of separately because it was so like green screen and wooden and just absolutely awful. And I was surprised at some of the names that appear in this fucking movie. Like you said, you have Paul Sorvino, which I don't know how the fuck they got him. You also have Rabbit from the Evil Bong series, which I thought was funny, but no one else would probably know. And you have Walter Peck from Ghostbusters, or the villain from Biodome, who is also in this, but not in really big roles. And of course, very famously, Joey Fatone, which they got in this movie, which actually plays a large part of the story. It's just like, it's a fun movie. There are some good kills. There are some kills that are really not good too. It's weird. Some of them are really kind of just off screen, and some of them are really bloody and on screen. So I appreciated the effort, and this is my second time that I watched it, because I think we mentioned in the past, but we were set to review it last summer. Joe and I were, because Todd was away, probably moving somewhere, but I got COVID. and I couldn't do that episode. So Joe ended up doing a solo episode instead, and we just never went back to it. So I had to rewatch it again, and I still enjoy it. It's a fun, bad shark movie.
Yeah. I'm the lone man out. Never saw any of the shows, so that's why it explains why I thought these guys were the actual people. Which doesn't make sense to me that they wouldn't be the people. I thought that was a whole gimmick that like we have the reality stars and they're going to make a parody of themselves. But which annoyed me. Like I told you guys in the chat, it annoyed me that this movie was as good as it was because I've been avoiding it, refusing to watch it unless it won a vote or a Joe's birthday pick, and I watched the whole thing. Like I wasn't bored because it was entertaining enough to like keep me interested. It's bad though, like you guys mentioned. The sharks looks like just white thumbs, but there's Shark Exorcist CGI, which is like the worst, and then this is like 2 steps up. So it's not like the worst you've ever seen. Shark Exorcist probably take the cake for that, but it's still not good. But like I mirror what you guys said too. There's a surprisingly good amount of blood in here too. There's some good like after showing wounds and like little like arms severed with like some chunks of skin hanging off and a lot of blood gushing. And then the Joey Fatone kill was really funny because it just came out of nowhere. I thought he was going to be like a real big plot point, but I think he starts singing for like a second and the fucking shark comes out of nowhere and just grabs him. And I just like what I love about these low budget films is like these little details, like in the killer or the sex doll one that Steve and I had to watch. There's a scene where he's making eggs, but for some reason he scrambles them, and then he also breaks yolk into that one again and makes new eggs. So when I see like little details like that, it just makes me laugh. For example, one of the construction workers has a high visibility safety vest on, but it's like 4 sizes too small. And I'm like, we couldn't go out to the fucking Home Depot, drop $6 and get this guy so we don't have to see his rolls. Like, give the guy a break. But like little details like that is just hilarious to me. The frat boys I wanted to punch in the throat the entire movie, so I thought that was really funny. And yeah, man, I'm ashamed to say that I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I will say, I guess my biggest complaint is I do feel like the novelty sort of wears off after a while here. And the love story, like between, the Ronnie, Sammy love story, as I want to call it, because I don't remember any of these characters' names. But yeah, I just felt it was just a little boring. Like I wish we got more shark kills, right? Like, there was a decent amount, but I wish we got even more. But I love that they parody Jaws in here too, as well, with the final kill and all that, and even some other nods throughout. So, it's a fun time. I could see people absolutely hating this too. I mean, if you're not like a Jersey Shore fan, but even though Todd wasn't a Jersey Shore fan, and he still had a pretty good time with this. So I think if you know what you're in for, if you're into those sort of cheesy sci-fi shark movies, this is one of the better bad shark movies we've probably reviewed on the show. So
yeah, something that I really liked about this is the random moments that made me just fucking laugh out loud. For example, I talked about Walter Peck being in this, and Paul Sorvino. They get crushed by a Ferris wheel that gets like knocked off its hinges, and just really dumb shit like that. At one point, a boat explodes, but it's like an over-the-top explosion. It's kind of like they did in Cruel Jaws, like way too big for the budget of the movie that it is. And just the Joy Fatone kill fucking just made me laugh out loud as well. It was serviceable. It kept, sure, there are a lot of like stupid jokes, a lot of Italian jokes, a lot of Jersey Shore jokes that kind of got old after a while. Like we get it. And you're right, the love story was just dumb. And it's like one of those situations again where he's clearly an abusive asshole, so why the fuck are we supposed to root for him? But for a movie like
you didn't remember what happened that night.
Yeah, I did remember.
I didn't remember. All right, you're forgiven.
Exactly. So, but for a movie like this, fine, because it's not like a serious movie where they're trying to make us care for someone. I don't know if you're actually supposed to care for these characters. But everyone did a good job. Like the acting was better than I thought it would be. They tried,
They tried, yeah.
They get a participation award for this movie, and for a movie that's named this and like this, I think that's as good as we're gonna get.
Did you guys notice in the final shootout where they're on the boat and they go back to the dock and everyone has a gun? Did you see the people walking by in the background? Like what? And then clearly weren't paid background extras. So they're like, what the fuck is happening? Because there's no sound effects. It's just actors like shaking guns and screaming. I thought that was so funny.
Which is actually funny because one of the things in the actual Jersey Shore that would happen a lot is they would like act out these scenes, because spoiler alert, Jersey Shore is fake, like they're wasted or something on the boardwalk, and they make it look like it's just a normal day on the boardwalk, people walking around and stuff. But then they show certain shots where you could see a security line and a fucking ton of people watching them film, in the background. It's kind of like that, right? It's like it was so obvious, and in a weird way, it kind of parodies Jersey Shore in that sense.
Yeah.
Fun fact: this is the last movie the director has directed. So whether it killed his career or not, but he also brought us some great other movies from 2005, Chupacabra Terror.
Oh, like that.
Also from 2002, The Santa Trap. And from 2001, I Saw Mummy Kissing Santa Claus. So apparently he was quite a Christmas guy for a little bit there.
Let's get him for this Christmas.
One more note is I was wondering what kind of show Joey Fatone was even have, because he's one of 5 NSYNC members. So is he like singing like his parts of the song?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm like, who's excited for this?
He's like the only NSYNC member too that does conventions too. I know I see him at conventions a lot.
For this movie?
Yeah,
I guess I don't know. Was he in Sharknado or something? Was he one of the Sharknadoes?
Maybe who the fuck knows? Probably, right?
NSYNC Con.
Yeah, one last thing I want to mention before we move on. This is a big gripe of mine. Like, this is a big no-no in my book. A wet t-shirt contest with bras. Are you fucking kidding me?
Sci-fi, dude.
I know. It's just so disappointing.
Yeah.
Also, here's a fun fact. The film is actually inspired by real life events. The Jersey Shore shark attacks from the Jersey Shore shark attacks of 1916, which happened between on actually 4th of July weekend. So there you go.
Now,
based on true events.
Did the real story also have the sharks living in a shark-shaped lair? That's what I want to know. Very random detail that they decide to add in for no reason. Yeah.
All right, you want to rate it real quick?
Yeah,
sure.
I'm 1.5 out of 5. It's fun. It's still bad though.
I'll leave it at this. I give it a 2.5 out of 5, but that's on a bad Sharks movie scale. In a real movie scale, I'm right where Todd is. Also, just my Letterboxd review alone, it would have gone up a full point had the Sharks fist pumped, but unfortunately,
same thing for me. 2.5, stars. I had fun with it, but that's obviously also on a bad shark movie scale. It's one of the better ones I've seen, to be honest. So,
all right. Deep Blue Sea, 1999, directed by Rennie Harlan. Bigger, smarter, faster, meaner. Researchers on the undersea lab Aquatica have genetically altered the brains of captive sharks to develop a cure for Alzheimer's disease. But there's an unexpected side effect. The sharks got smarter, faster, and more dangerous. After a big storm damages their remote research facility, they must fight for their lives. So exactly what happens, man. They have a research facility out in the middle of nowhere, and they're researching on these big old sharks that they have secretly, mind you, genetically modified to make their brains bigger so they can harvest more of their, let's call it brain juice, to make cures for human Alzheimer's patients. We have Thomas Jane, who is a ex-felon with a heart of gold, and he is a shark wrangler, a job that I hope does not exist, because that is fucked up how he has to risk his life every single time they need a shark. He almost gets fucking killed. LL Cool J, who plays the wisecrack and chef on the research facility, cool guy. Michael Rappaport, who's like big in the sports world now, right? That's all I see him on now. He plays like the lovable engineer that everyone likes to root for. So we are joined by Samuel Jackson, who goes to the research vessel because he's given them 2 days to give him results, or he's going to shut down the facility and he wants to watch the final 2 days. But there's a superstorm coming in and there's a skeleton crew. They get trapped in there. Oh, and the sharks are smart, remember, and they're trying to kill him. I saw this in the theater when it came out, loved it. This is the first time I watched it in maybe 10, 12 years, something like that. So it was pretty fresh. And I still think it holds up, man. It's really fun. The CGI is dated, but there's enough practical stuff in there to make it pretty dang cool. And man, like that Thomas Jane, I can't like let this go. His job is so dangerous, like unnecessarily too. Like, I don't know. He's doing shark flips to avoid being eaten. Like every chance he goes in the water, he's almost gonna get killed by a couple sharks. So I'm like, I feel for the guy. LL Cool J plays his part well, and overall, man, I just think it's a fun movie with some very surprising kills in it. And I think one of the most surprising deaths in horror history that comes about midway in the film. So, what'd you guys think?
Yeah, so I've seen this movie so many times. It's always just been just on, I guess. Like, and it was on TV a lot, but I remember watching it for the first time at a friend's house. And when did this come? What year did this come out?
99. You were
99,
12
yeah.
years old.
So I was like 12 years old. So it definitely like it was right at the right age bracket, I guess, for this type of movie. It's just such a fun movie, man. And watching it as an adult now, I haven't sat down and fully watched it in a long time. And man, this movie still holds up super, super well. The cast, fantastic. I mean, you get fucking Thomas Jane, Stellan Skarsgård, Samuel L. Jackson, just great actors throughout here. Even LL Cool J is, really solid. And this is sort of the comedy relief. But man, the sharks look awesome. I feel like they still, for the most part, like hold up. Some of the CGI, not so much, but they use a lot of practical in here too, it seems, or maybe like some sort of robotics or animatronics, but whatever it is, they look fucking great for the most part. I love the idea around this whole movie. There's really never a dull moment. There's so much action and tension throughout. Yeah, to me, this still holds up as one of the greatest shark movies that's been made.
Yeah, and I concur with what both of you said. I also saw this in theater. This is very late high school for me. And I remember seeing it and just being kind of shocked at how great this was. It's a fun film. There's a lot of kills, a lot of surprises. I mean, Todd said that it has probably one of the biggest surprise kills in horror history. It almost has two. We'll talk about them both right after, but there are two kills in here that really shocked me the first time I watched it. And it's probably been 10, 15 years as well since I'd seen it last. And I forgot about that second one that really surprised me. So I was like, oh yeah, that's true. They went that route, which was friggin' awesome. There are great shark kills in this. I thought the shark looked great as well. A bit, the CGI obviously aged a little bit, 1999, kind of a weird time, but it looked good. And the explosions, holy fuck, they do not fucking around with the explosions in this movie. It just shit goes down, and it's a fun movie. Like it passed by really, really quick. I wasn't bored whatsoever, and yeah, awesome film.
Yeah, so is your second shocking death the bird?
No, it's not the bird. No, it's the end. Usually, I mean, well, might as well say it now.
Yeah, say it.
Usually, when you have a kind of you have the last female, the last guy, they're gonna hook up at the end. It's kind of this whole thing. She like jumps into the water to sacrifice herself, but you think, nah, he'll get the shark before the shark eats her, but shit, shark just fucking devours her. You're like, no, she'll be fine. Like LL Cool J was fine, LL Cool J got into the shark's mouth but survived. Nope, she gets chopped right in half and fucking like, damn, what the fuck? No way.
Yeah.
And I like that subverted the expectation that for sure she was gonna live, right? Because she's kind of the heroine of the whole story. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
No character is safe in this,
No.
like I was like Todd said, like the Samuel L. Jackson kill is like one of the most surprising things ever. Like fucking no one saw that coming. And I think that's what makes this movie, like that is the one scene every single person who has seen this movie remembers. Just like, holy fuck, like you're killing it. And I actually time-stamped it. It is exactly 1 hour into the movie that Samuel L. Jackson gets fucking eaten by that shark. So yeah, it's crazy. And then like Steve said, just killing off your main character at the very end there too is just completely shocking. Yeah, and fucking Thomas Jane fucking saving the day, badass sort of character there. Did we need the bird to die though? That was very upsetting.
Yes, it was getting tired of the birds like comedy. Getting old.
Fat ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's just so much just good in here. Like it's they really haven't been able to replicate it, I feel like, since, honestly. Like I feel like there hasn't been a better shark movie that's come out since Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, I love the little time capsule too. You got the floppy disk drive, which is extremely important. And kids now, they look at that and like, what the hell is that shit? But floppy disk back in the day, man, that's how we played some games and stored data, like 1 kilobytes worth. So it's like nothing. But I still think I got to go back to Thomas Jane. It's so fucking ridiculous and so dumb, where he's doing these flips in the water like he's more agile than a shark. and then he's like riding on their fins and shit. I'm like, give me a fucking break. But that's just nitpicking, man. But I love the scene where they bring the shark up into the lab, and it's fucking scary looking, man. It's just sitting on that in the little mini pool. They're petting it and shit. Thomas Jane is massaging its freaking balls, and he's just like, yeah, and they're doing their experiment, and then another unexpected kill, well, or at least maim, is where he reaches out and grabs the fucking doctor's arm, and it's slow motion and it's gushing blood and it's like all hectic and stuff. And Thomas Jane's gonna shoot the fucking shark, and then the lady like releases it right in time, and that leads up to the whole sharks using destroy the fucking helicopter crash, and it has that big ass explosion. But then they grab Stellan Skarsgård's what's it called, a gurney, and they throw him into the glass to break it. I'm like, that whole like 20 minutes, it's just fucking nuts.
Absolutely. That's probably the best scene or best sequence in the entire sort of movie, and sets up sort of the whole movie from there. Yeah, it's so good. And just like it feels like so authentic. Like, it doesn't feel like you're on like a movie set. It really feels like you're deep underwater with them, which I think is, attributes to the set design and everything. I mean, it just really feels like you're there. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah, all the kills are fucking just so cool in it. And not only the human kills, but the way they kill the sharks. They're all kind of unique. They all like fucking explode and shit. And it's funny how for pretty much every kill, I guess, other than LL Cool J, I kept thinking to myself, and this is originally because I remember it a bit, I was like, oh, no, he'll be fine. And then they're like cut in half, or they eat the face off or something. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess that character's not going to make it. And it's just, oh, God, it's a fun movie. And it's relentless. It starts like immediately and keeps going right up to the end. And I love the smart shark story because it kind of makes it kind of a slasher, right? They're constantly being chased by it or being outsmarted by the sharks. They work in tandem like fucking raptors. It was awesome, man. This movie is it's good all around.
Yeah, perfect omelet is 2 eggs, not 3. But yeah, I love fucking LL Cool J in this too. And when he's somehow in the oven that fits a giant fucking man, I'm like, wow, holy shit. And then he has every movie has an axe. Have you ever seen an axe in real life at a fucking anywhere? No, unless it's on a fire truck. So I think it's hilarious. But like, yeah, I mirror what you guys said. Like this, it feels big. Like the sets are so cool. And I was looking at the budget, 60 million, but I guess it didn't make that much money. 164 worldwide, I guess maybe underperformed. But man, like, this could have been like a huge franchise. I know we got 2 and 3, which I think I've seen. I just don't remember. But poopy movies, you know what I mean? But this movie was like, I remember being like a hit when it came out. So it's a shame we didn't get any more big ones.
Yeah, we even get some like classic slasher moments where like they fake out a shark in one scene. So Susan, who's the kind of main heroine of this story, she's getting the dementia like blood that would cure it in her locker. And there's a shark that like slowly coming up behind her, and she turns around, but it's just a plastic shark from the lab, like where they study kind of like shark anatomy and stuff. And then, I mean, Todd has as his background right now, she like takes off her clothes to electrocute the shark. She gets it to like her fucking panties and white bra,
Yeah, you had to have that scene for the 90s. Yeah,
right, exactly. The gratuitous scene, not gratuitous enough, but
no, I know
enough.
Joe, I actually wrote this in my notes. Joe, as an electrician, would she be able to pull the cable out of the wall and not kill herself?
Yes.
Would she be able to stand on her little pad of clothes and not kill herself?
Yeah, she could, as long.
There it is,
yeah.
people.
It's possible. It's definitely possible because the wire had a protective sheathing. It seemed like. So she wouldn't get electrocuted from that. Here's an interesting fact. Steve said the sharks are all killed in interesting ways. I had no idea about this, and this is a really cool fact. The 3 sharks are killed in the same way and in the same order as the 3 sharks in Jaws 1, 2, and 3D. Blown up, electrocuted, and incinerated. So there you go.
Incinerated.
Cool. Fun fact.
The third one
I guess they mean
blown up.
Yeah,
by the explosion, right? I guess
that's a loose interpretation of
right
incineration. But I love that LL Cool J like misses the shot, kind of. He kind of gets it, but kind of misses. He hits fucking Thomas Jane.
Yeah, he's like 45-foot shark, and you hit me.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Another shark, like, and I'm curious, I don't know if you guys would know this. So how do sharks detect people? So we know blood is the catalyst that makes them, but is it by like smell? Is it the color?
Swimming. I think it's swimming, isn't it? Like,
because at the beginning they drop red wine into the ocean, and that's what starts the first shark attack. Would a shark actually know the difference between red wine? Like, I'm wondering where.
I think it's the
thought that
smell,
was
right?
symbolism. I took that as looks cool in the water.
Mhm.
In the
Although
shot.
another cool, again, subversion of the expectations. You have, the young college kids are on a boat and they get attacked by the shark. They're in their bikinis and they fall into the water. And you're like, oh yeah, be like every other shark movie, they're going to get killed. And that's where the movie's going to start. And just when the shark's about to kill them, Thomas Jane like spears it and then catches it and pulls it back. So I like how it's like it knew what shark movies were before this and made sure to surprise the audience, which is awesome.
It was a smart movie. It was a smart movie. Who wrote this? Let's look. I mean, we all know Rennie Harlan. That was part of your trivia. But Duncan Kennedy, let's see what he's done.
Randy Harlan is doing isn't he doing the Strangers movies coming up? I think he was slated to direct, the upcoming Strangers trilogy.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Never mind, this writer has done nothing, so. You have anything else you guys want to add before we rate it?
No, let's do it.
I think it's a fun movie, and I think it holds up. The sharks looks fantastic. The kills are surprising. The acting is really good. I'm a solid freaking 4 out of 5 on this one.
Agreed. 4 out of 5. One of the best shark movies to come out. I love it. It still holds up to this day. Not a dull moment. Unfortunately, the sequels did not pan out.
Yeah. So maybe controversial opinion here. I think this is the best shark movie other than Jaws. So probably my favorite shark movie outside of the first Jaws. I think I'd put some of the, like maybe Jaws 2 right after it, but I just, it's so different too, right? Than Jaws. And this one's fun. I think Jaws is like a masterpiece. We'll talk about it next week on our 70s episode, but this one probably my second favorite shark movie of all time. So I also gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a great movie and it holds up. Surprise! I hadn't seen it in a long time, and actually, so I knew I owned the film on Blu-ray, but I couldn't find 2 anywhere. 3 streaming everywhere. I couldn't find 2. Turns out I bought them on Xbox last year because on Shark Week they had it for sale for like a really cheap price. So I'm gonna watch 2 and 3 probably this week.
I remember not hating 3 as much as I hated 2. So, but 3's not very good either. But I remember like thinking it was like maybe a 2.5 type movie.
Yeah. Well, that's a unanimous decision. All 4 out of 5. So that's awesome.
Nice.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it up for this episode. We hope you enjoyed our reviews. Don't forget, stick around for our interview with Casper Van Dien and Alice Lucy from Mad Heidi. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search the Horror Squad podcast. Oh, and also Threads now. Yes, people are doing the Threads these days, so jump on Threads as well. The Horror Squad podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad podcast @gmail.com. And of course, the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord. Just send any of us a DM or send us a DM through our socials, and we will get you a link to join the Discord completely free. Great community over there, so join us over on there. I think that's about it. October 20th through the 22nd. Save the date. We are planning an event in Salem, Massachusetts. We will give you more details as it comes. And I think that's about it. And merch. The Horror Squad podcast, tpublic.com/the Horror Squad podcast, and leave us a 5-star review, of course, if you haven't already on any of your podcast platforms. So don't forget, stick around for the interview right after this, and we'll see you guys next week for our 70s episode. And if you haven't sent in your lists, please send them in by Monday, I guess, would probably be the best. So we can actually not Monday.
No, I was going to say like that's a very tight turnaround.
We record on Mondays. So please send them in by Sunday if you can. That we release these episodes on Fridays. So if you can send it to me by Sunday, that would be greatly appreciated if you haven't sent them already. We've already gotten a good amount of lists. But the more you send in, the more definitive we can be about what were the top 10 movies of the 1970s. So we'll see you guys next week for the best top 10 of the 1970s. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, where today we are joined by two very special guests. Their new movie, Mad Heidi, will be releasing on VOD and Blu-ray July 21st. Please welcome the stars of the film, Heidi herself, Alice Lucy, and an actor horror fans will know from Sleepy Hollow, but of course, he is best known for the cult classic film Starship Troopers. Welcome to the Roughnecks, Casper Van Dien. Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Wow, man! Thanks for having us and the roughneck intro. Nice.
You got it. So why don't we start off? Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about both of your characters from the movie and also how you got started on the project?
Yeah, so I got started on the project as my agent got in touch and said she had a script that had been sent through and that they wanted me to take for it. She said it's a bit left field, but have a read and let me know what you think. And I just said to her, this is absolutely up my street. It's bonkers, it's crazy, it's fun. And especially, I got the script in 2021, so we were just on the way out of COVID. I was like, I want to have fun. I want to do something that's going to make people smile, that, is just it's a bit silly. But I've said before, the key thing that stood out to me in the project is the passion that was already put into this project, the belief and the passion that they had for it. And the willingness to see it through and get it made. This was a crowdfunded project, and to be able to raise the amount that they did through crowdfunding is no sort of nothing shy of their own testament to how much they wanted this and how much they believed in this project. So yeah, and then I was fortunate enough to play Heidi. So Heidi, for me, I think she's a very complex individual who throughout Heidi 1, I say 1 in the hope that there's more, Heidi 1 is very much discovering who she has the potential to be. I don't think she knows who she is yet, and I don't think she knows where she sits yet, which is why you see her explore such a wide range of versions of herself. So we see the innocent, in love, naive version, we see the downtrodden, angry, very, very angry version. And we see that passion in her towards the end of the film. And I think just as you see her with Clara, right at the end, that's how I see her heading into number 2. She's self-assured and she's ready and raring to go. But I think she's very confused, I think, in the first one, and doesn't understand a lot of the feelings that she's feeling. And I think she does spend a large portion of this film mad. I would say angry, because I said, is it mad as in mad or mad as in angry? And they said mad as in angry. And I said, oh, okay, angry Heidi didn't have the same ring to it then.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, you come on a set, and I've been doing this 35 years. I get on the set, and then Alice has already been there a couple of months because she's trained and hung out and everything. But you come on the set and you see this young actress, beautiful, smart, funny. My wife comes in, oh my God, she's beautiful, smart, and funny. Oh, yeah, and she's nice. And she had set the thing, and she's been doing her work, so she's already established, and you're already going, okay, this is going to be easier to do. So, when they're that good and they're already doing all that work and they're already that professional, I'm surprised that this was her, this first big lead in a big movie. And then she knocked it out of the park like that. That was awesome. It makes my job easier. I got the script when they sent it to me. I saw that they liked Starship Troopers. I was like, this is cool. I dig that kind of stuff. I'm somebody who loves the people that love Starship Troopers in quotes. You gave me a quote right away. You're my people. I already know that. About you. I'll be at the grocery store and I'll be wrapping toilet paper and somebody will go, Johnny Rico, what are you doing here? And I'll be like, it happens. So, and put that in my cart. And I'm like, man. But it's like my kids have grown up with me getting yelled at my whole life. So, and that's a good thing. Most people wouldn't think that's a good thing, but when you got a role where people just get so excited that they quote that and do this, I think Mad Heidi has the potential to do similar things in the audience's reaction and the reaction I've gotten from fans and stuff like that, especially the Starship Troopers fans. They're fucking through the roof about this, going, dude, this is so cool. So they dig it, and that that's always fun for me. I had so much fun on this. I loved everybody's excitement, especially Alice's, and the rest of the cast and crew that were amazing. I got to see David again, who I'd worked on Curse of King Tut's Tomb with in India, and it was great to see him again. It's just a blessing. This movie was a blessing. The only thing that I'm upset about is that I didn't get the painting of me fighting the bear. The director wanted that, and he's got it. I was really hoping. I don't really take very many things from movies. I did want that one.
Nice. Now, obviously, I mean, this is such a crazy and unique story, but it's so different. And I think, especially horror fans, I think will jump on this with the gore and everything. So I got to ask, like, when you got this script and you read it, what was your initial reaction?
I think you could really see the visuals in it. I've said before that the stage direction and the level of detail in the stage directions that were given, I'd written in between my first audition and my second audition, I'd written notes about the script and about the character in case they say to you, do you have any questions? So I could ask them questions. But there was a really specific bit of imagery that stuck out to me, which was about Heidi's being held at gunpoint by Knorr on the top of the waterfall, and she opens her arms out in a Christ-like pose and surrenders to the waterfall. And I just think that's so, like, I could see the arms stretched out and then falling. And I remember when I ended up getting the part, I said to my family, I said, I get to do that scene, that thing that I made a note of in March. Now in September, I said, on the day that we shot, I said to my mom, I was like, today's the day I'm going to fall off the cliff, which she found a bit scary. But in my head, it was such a big moment for me to really be able to take that image that was written by them on the page and be able to capture that. And I think, I love the level of detail they put into it.
Yeah, I'm with her. I mean, when I was reading the script, I was like, how are they going to pull this off? And then when I saw it, and I saw all the propaganda posters, me as a statue, and my characters, and all the wardrobe they had for me, everything, all the like Alice pointed out earlier in the thing, they had me on a face my watch, which I could probably do on my Apple Watch, but I mean, it was a Timex like watch, or Swiss watch or whatever it's supposed to be, but a good Swiss watch, face on it. It was just like everything, it's always hard when you have to wear a Speedo in a scene, and then they come up and do that. It's always, you got to put your, and it was so cold in there, it was like, so cold, you're like, it was just fun. I loved every minute of it. I mean, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, and the audiences that we've been involved with, and Alice more than me even, but because she's the lead and she should be, but we, just their reaction has been wonderful, and everybody's reaction. I think this film, you can see the heart and soul, and it's not like the same thing. Like a lot of movies nowadays, when I'm watching them, I don't want to bag on any movies, but sometimes it feels like it's the same thing over and over and over again, the same thing that I've seen in every other movie that might have been original at the beginning, but now it just seems like they're beating it to death. Well, in this movie, they beat everything to death, and I love that.
Absolutely. And you bring up the propaganda posters and even the little clips. It reminded me a lot of Starship Troopers in a lot of ways. I feel like they even gave a little nod to it when they said that I'm doing my part there. So that was pretty cool. Alice, I had read that you actually did some combat training before the movie. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate that they managed to set aside 2.5 weeks to do a whole host of training. So I was able to familiarize myself with the halberd and the katana, and also with the team that I'd be working with. So we essentially choreographed all of the fight scenes before we shot the film, so that when we got onto set, and you've got so many different elements that you're fighting against, that we could really just get on and do it. But I was fortunate. I'm a trained martial artist, so I have a 2nd Dan black belt in Taekwondo, and I was able to use part of those skills in this training. Except I've said to Casper before, I've never had to make it look pretty, and I've never had to watch that I don't actually hit anyone. So I had to really make sure that I worked on those elements of it. And the team were amazing. They've worked on so many awesome projects with so many cool people, and they, like everyone else in the crew, just thought it was bonkers in all the best ways. So it really helped. And that's why, everyone says to them, why did you get involved? And they say, the second you read the script, it's infectious. You're curious, and I think that's what, as human beings, we're curious about things that are, you know, bizarre and different. And I think that so many people wanted to see how it would turn out, and so many people wanted to be part of making it happen, and that's been so lovely.
Awesome. And Casper, you, of course, I'm sure, are no stranger to combat training. I'm sure you did a great deal of it on Starship Troopers. My listeners would kill me if I didn't throw in at least one Starship Troopers question. So I'll just keep it simple. Will we see more Johnny Rico in the future?
Well, I hope so. I mean, we came really close to doing a series. After I did Alita Battle Angel with Robert Rodriguez, who all he wanted to talk about when I was filming this scene with Christoph Waltz was Starship Troopers the whole day. And he told me how he has his musical playlist, and that there's 150 movies he puts in the background. And whenever that movie, 3 movies come on, that he always what he does is he's editing or writing a script. He has this music, the movie list playing in the background, 150 movies. He turns the volume down really low so you can barely hear it, and then he puts Rolling Thunder so he can concentrate. But 3 movies come on, he always turns the thunder off and cranks up the volume. And one of those is Starship Troopers. And he goes, I can't tell you how many times I watch it a month. And I'm going, what? And you know, like, so he's sitting there. But Sony called me up after that because they heard me talk about it in an interview, and they go, do you think Robert Rodriguez would do the TV series of Starship Troopers? And I go, I can ask him. So I asked him, and he goes, well, let's you and me and Ed talk. So we did like 7 Skype interviews, and he gave us all the notes, and we were about to go, but then they had a changing of the guard, and it just went away. And Robert then got on a little show called, the Book of Boba Fett. And when they came back to me, and Sony goes, do you think Robert would do it? I'm like, I'll ask him again. But so I asked him, and he goes, I can't, I'm under contract. But he loves Starship Troopers, and you know, you get things like that. It would be fun to do that. I think that it would be fun to actually do with either him or Paul Verhoeven again. I'd love to have him come back and do one with him. And I'm really good friends with Ed Neumeyer and still Paul. So I would love to do that. It would be a dream for me. I'd love to be Old Man Rico.
Absolutely. And
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just said, the fans would go crazy for it. That TV series with Robert Rodriguez, I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the night now.
Me too. Thanks for putting it back up.
Sorry. All right, just 2 more, guys. Now, we are teased, of course, at the end of Mad Heidi with a potential sequel. Alice, can you share any potential details? Have you heard anything?
So I have heard bits and pieces. I know that they're focusing on the global launch of Mad Heidi 1 at the moment. Obviously, it's coming out in the US later in the month, and they're currently in Japan because we're having a cinema release over in Japan. I probably every other week send them different plot points that I would like to include in the second one, and different ideas that I have in the second one, to the point where they keep saying to me, are you writing this or are we writing this? And I go, we should write it together. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of ideas that I think are out there at the moment. I know that obviously skiing is very big in Switzerland, and we've spoken about maybe having, it's in the winter, we're on the slopes. There's some chases, there's some gunfights. Everyone loves them when they're in James Bond. Why not in Mad Heidi? So yeah, I think there's lots of conversations, but we want to make sure that we do Mad Heidi justice and give her the launch that she deserves.
Absolutely. And we certainly look forward to that. Before we let you guys go, is there anything else you'd like to promote, anything upcoming or where the listeners can find you on social media to keep up with you guys?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I'm alice.e.lucy over there. I have a TikTok page, but it's not as interesting as people would hope it is. I'm going to work on it. So if you follow me, I will work on it, I promise. And then, yeah, there's a few projects I'm really excited about coming up that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet. But if you follow me, you will be the first people to see it.
Oh, well, I'm going to follow you.
You already do follow me.
Oh, yes, right. Yes, I'm just at Casper Van Dien on everything, just on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. I'm not on the other things because I'm old, so I don't do any of that. But if you can't find Alice, you can find her on my page because I already follow her. So And I always tag her in all my Heidi things. I have a movie coming out on the 14th called The Flood with Nikki Whalen and Louis Mandalore, who I also did the, Battle for Saipan, which is out right now too. And then I also have a movie out on Tubi, or not Tubi, on Tubi, that is called Hunt Club with Mickey Rourke and Mina Savari. I'm in that one. I play a murderous guy in that. I also have Daughter out, where I play a really horrible murderer guy. And then I have County Line No Fear, where I play a really bad killer guy, cowboy, black hat cowboy. And then I have Heart of a Champion, where I play white hat, good guy. And then I also am in Monsters of California, that comes out in September. Tom DeLonge directed. It has Richard Kind and a whole bunch of cool kids. So
awesome
about that. And that's all got all the alien stuff in it. And that was a lot of fun. He directs musically. It's so much fun. He's so talented. I went to their concert last night, Blink 182, rocking. Saw him in Tampa. Got
awesome.
Before out in his dressing room, just hung out for hours. He's just a cool dude.
Very cool. Awesome, guys. Well, we thank you so much for your joining us today. We really appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you go and catch Mad Heidi July 21st on Blu-ray and VOD. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.